Hi, this is Susan, and welcome to Zoho QuickTips. This week, it might not be so quick. I want to talk about importing, which is one of the most common questions I get about how to import data into Zoho. If you follow a step-by-step procedure, it's really straightforward, but a lot of people miss some of the really important steps and maybe don't understand some of the options that you can make. So let's take a look at how you might do importing your own data. Do you have a list in Excel that you would like to import into Zoho CRM? If your administrator has not restricted your ability to import, the process is fairly easy to accomplish, but understanding the options can make everything go smoother. First, you need to prepare the spreadsheet. Remove any extra columns at the top of the spreadsheet so that the first row is the column names and the second row starts with the data. You want to also remove any extra rows at the end of the spreadsheet as well. Once you have that list ready, then the next thing you'll want to know is make sure that you have a column for any required fields. We know that last name is a required field in Zoho. So in cases where you don't have a last name for a particular record, you can make up something like unknown, or sometimes what I do is I just copy the first name into the last name area. Finally, you can add additional columns, like I might add lead source, or I might add something else. But in this particular case, I want to show you how to add lead owner. In the case of lead owner, what you want to do is go look into your database and look under Tools, Users, and notice that your users, which ones you have. So in this case, I have 3 users. I have Bill and Candace and UR. So if I've got Candace, let's say I want to give Candace some of these leads. I'm going to copy her email address and paste it in a couple of rows. Let's say because I want to give these rows to Candace. If I don't paste in an email address, whoever I'm logged in as, which is Bill, the leads will automatically be assigned to Bill. I want to add a couple of more just for fun so that you can see how it works, but all of the rest of these will be assigned to Bill. Once you have finished making all of your changes, then of course you will want to save the spreadsheet. Now, I have an XLS spreadsheet, but if you have a lot of records, let's say over 1,000 or 500, you might want to save it as a CSV file by going here and clicking on saving it as a comma delimited. But I'm not going to do that in this case because the Excel file is just fine. When it's time to do the import, you will select the module that you want to use. In this case, I want to select leads. You can import into any module you like: leads, accounts, contacts, deals. However, keep in mind you cannot import into activities or any of the inventory modules like quotes or sales orders or purchase orders or invoices. You cannot import into those, but you could import into custom modules if you like. When you're ready, after you've selected the module, click the Import button at the top right and select the first option to import leads. Notice here you have 2 options. We're not coming from another CRM. We want to just come from a file that we've received. So I'm just going to browse to go find that file and click on it and say Open. Once it's uploaded, you will see a check mark that says it's uploaded successfully, so click Next. Now let's look at these next option, which is real important to understand. I could import that as a new lead. I can update existing leads only, or I can do both at the same time. Let me go back. I'm going to open up a new tab so I can go look at this again. I don't have to leave off where I was. Notice I have 1 lead in here already, Ethan. He doesn't have a title and he's assigned to a Bill. In the case of our spreadsheet, let me go back to that. I do have an Ethan in here. In my spreadsheet, I do have a title, and I've decided to make Candace in charge of Ethan. So when I import this file, let me go back. When I import this file, I do want to add all those extra leads that were in that spreadsheet, but if it finds an existing lead in there, then I want to update it with any of the columns where I have data. But if I select this option, it won't add new leads. So what I want to do is click the both option. Both is not available, by the way, in the free edition. It's only in paid editions. So I want to do this, but then it says, how am I going to know whether it is an existing lead or not? So I'm just going to click on this and say email. Lead ID is not something that you would have unless you'd actually exported the records from Zoho. This means Zoho Lead ID. It's not an ID that you have created, but any unique fields that you have added to the database here will be available for matching against. Sometimes, for instance, let's say if we were importing into accounts and you had account ID, you might use that field. So the next option is don't update empty values for existing leads. That's kind of a confusing one. I leave it checked. If you can't remember, click on this little question mark here, and it'll tell you that if you've got something, for instance, if in that spreadsheet I did not have a phone number, so that's a blank field in the spreadsheet, but the record inside Zoho has a phone number, I don't want to overwrite it. So if there are empty values in the spreadsheet, don't use it and overwrite existing leads. If I want to overwrite data to start clean, I would do uncheck it. But usually you're going to say keep that checked and click next. In this area, what we're going to do is map the fields. Notice that most of the fields were automatically mapped for you: first name, last name, title. Account name was the name in the spreadsheet file, but in leads, it is company. So then the names don't have to match exactly. You can also apply auto field mapping, and sometimes that will help you automatically select the fields. And notice it did it very well, but notice in case it didn't, I want to show you the lead owner. When you're selecting lead owner, you have two options. You can pick user ID, which we really didn't have. We're matching the lead owner email. So Zoho automatically interpreted that and selected that option. Notice I have no unmapped fields. Everything in the spreadsheet is mapped, but I could, if I want to, map additional ones. Or if I had a field in the spreadsheet that wasn't in CRM, I could create a new field to also map it at the same time. Once all the fields are mapped, you will want to click the next button. There's a couple of things that I can do here. If I had not assigned a lead source, which I didn't create a lead source, I could select something that'll automatically be applied to all of the records that I import. I can assign an owner. I could have said, I'll give all these leads to a specific user, and I could have assigned one. If I have a lead assignment rule, I could select it, which I don't in this database. But I had a field, and the field was called this. I can tell that's exact the field because I didn't capitalize the owner. So it's going to base it on the field mapping that I had. I could create a new task for the leads or create a workflow. I'm not going to do that. You can add a tag if you want to. I might say 2018 trade show. You could give it a specific tag if you want to, or you can give it a new tag. So I'm just going to make it a new tag. And I don't need to enable manual lead approval. I'm going to click Finish. The import has been scheduled. It'll take a few minutes. I'm going to click OK. But since it's a very small spreadsheet, I don't expect it to take very long. When it's finished, you'll get an email in your inbox to let you know that it's finished. In addition, you'll get something at the bottom to indicate that it's finished. There we go. Import status. It's finished. So I'm just going to close this, and I'm going to refresh the screen using this. Now I have all my leads. There are my 19 leads I had in the database. I'm going to go find Ethan. I don't see Ethan. Ethan was probably at the bottom of the list since he was the first one in here. Notice, by the way, Ethan has a title now, which he didn't have before, and it's been assigned to Candace. All of them have titles, and whenever I didn't assign something, it went straight to the person that I'm logged in as, which is Bill. By the way, notice that support did import. Support does not have a first name. If I click edit, I will see that the first name is blank, but I still have the last name of support. So it did import quite well. Note that the tag also came in correctly, and the lead source trade show is also present. Should there be a problem with the import and you don't like the way it imported, you can always roll back the import by clicking on the tools icon and going down to under data administration, go to import and go to import history. You'll see the most recent imports that you've done. Notice that I can see that 18 were added and 1 was updated. If I want to see which one was updated, I can click on that or click on see which ones were added. I'm going to close this view. Or if I want to, I can undo the import. Undoing the import will roll back the ones that were added. It will not change the update. So that's all there is to doing the import. If you like, I have a 12-page guide that gives you instructions on how to better prepare your spreadsheets before importing. I'll put a link below in the more information so you can download it if you like. Thanks for watching. If you found this tip helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. You should also subscribe to this channel if you want to be notified when I upload more tips. As always, if you need help in using or customizing your own Zoho CRM or even in training your team, give us a shout. You can find our contact information in the information box below as well. Have a great week.